We do something a little bit differently now. We used to spend a couple, 3 days in order to get to space station. But now what we do is we get to space station in 4 orbits. Each orbit's an hour and a half, so 6 hours later, you're on space station. You wake up in Baikonur Cosmodrome in their quarantine facility, and you go to bed on the International Space Station. Well, when I was 6 years old, we were landing men on the moon, and I think every 6-year-old boy in particular, when I was 6, wanted to be an astronaut, a fireman, or a policeman, and I was just so excited about our space program then. And I think when you can excite a young person, just like I was excited as a 6-year-old, it motivates you in a very, very unique way. And because of that experience, I studied hard in math, science, and engineering and really pursued this path and was fortunate enough for it all to work out. International Space Station is an awesome place to work and live. You wouldn't really expect this, but it feels huge. One reason it's huge is because it's really big on the inside. It's about the equivalent of a 3-bedroom house. But also, when you live in a volume, because you can float around and use any surface, it really gives you this sense that it's bigger. And so it's just an amazing place because you're working and living there every day. You're floating from place to place. You learn to adapt to your environment. You know, sometimes you're carrying things with your legs and moving with your hands, and sometimes you're flipping around to orient to a new surface. And so it's just a tremendous place to work. But also the view of our planet, of Earth, is just mind-blowing. It is so beautiful. And watching the sunrises and sunsets, our cities at night, the Bahamas and coral reefs, it just absolutely is stunning how beautiful it is. But also it's in contrast to how black it is beyond the Earth, and that also is just a really, really amazing experience to be able to see. You know, I think there's something inherent in all of us that desires exploration. And I think it's important for us to continue our pursuit of exploring space. Right now we're in low Earth orbit with the space station, but we're going to pursue whatever that next step is beyond low Earth orbit, whether it's the moon or Mars. We're going to take that next step. And it'll be really challenging because working and living in space is really hard, and the technology that's required is also very complex. But I hope that we continue to pursue that and take those next big steps. I would encourage young people to study hard in school, especially in math, science, and engineering, and actually in all their subjects, because the way I look at studying in school is it's like putting tools into a toolkit. So even though someone graduates from high school and they may never use calculus or algebra again, math teaches you how to think. And even though you may never read another literature book and write a report on it, being able to communicate in written form is one of the most important skills you can have. And even though you may never study history again, it teaches you perspective and how to make good decisions.